Hey, welcome back everybody to Havoc Maker Studio. My name is John, and today we are going to be covering the Ruins of Symbaroum, the 5e conversion of the critically acclaimed RPG from Free League, Symbaroum, or Symbaroum, or Symbaroum, depending if you are using the Swedish, the English, or some bastardization like I just did. Now, this game is probably one of the darkest, most sinister, and deadly games I've ever played or run as a game master. Now, if you're not familiar with what any of these terminologies mean, game master for a RPG is the individual that will narrate and describe the surroundings and basically to everybody that's playing the game, take care of the five senses, take on the role of non-player characters and such. Where the players, that's everybody else, usually about four, maybe five, will create a character, a persona that will interact with this whatever world that you are playing in. And a tabletop role-playing game is essentially a game where you as players and the GM or DM or narrator or storyteller take on certain roles to interact in a fantasy, make-believe, imaginative world. Now, most of these games will involve a rule system that will involve dice of some sort, whether it's the normal six-sided dice, it's the little cube dice that people will use, all the way up to the 100-sided dice, depending on which game you're running. So, Free League Publishing is a Swedish-born company that creates games such as Symbaroum, which is the Swedish pronunciation, to Tales from the Loop, Coriolis, the new Aliens RPG, which is a terrifying sci-fi game. If you're familiar with the Aliens universe, they have the open sandbox world, Forbidden Lands, and even I think it's called Mutant Apex. I forget what the name of the game. I think it's called Mutant something. It's a post-apocalyptic world where people are now mutated animals. So they've got some amazing games, and they've had 26 successful Kickstarters for all their different products out there. Now, their current game that's in publication right now that you can go to your store and buy is Symbaroum. It uses its own D20 rule system and uses another dice for whatever game mechanics that you're using. And my players that I've run through and myself when I've played the game really love it because it is a challenge. It is a challenging game for a GM and for a player. I would say that it is more challenging than, I hate to say it, the cookie cutter source books or adventures that you get from Dungeons and Dragons right now, from the actual official Wizard of the Coast books, which are, I kind of relate, and I don't mean this offensively, but I look at those as Saturday morning cartoony or maybe video game like. They're a little too I'm not even sure how to explain it, but Symbaroum managed to capture a down-to-earth, grounded, dark fantasy world with terrifying creatures, terrifying environments, horrifying madness that can come about from any direction, including and almost exclusively magic. And it all centers around a part of the world that is just south of this massive forest that's, I think, around 15,000 or 1,500 kilometers by, I think it's 800 kilometers. I'll let you guys figure out the actually the square mileage or square kilometers for that. And how the people, the humans, the ogres, the trolls, the elves, dwarves, goblins, changelings, and the revenants, how everybody interacts with this massive forest called Davicar that is the home of the former empire Symbaroum that hundreds of years ago died out mysteriously, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And what's left behind is this massive forest that gets darker and more deadly and sinister and creepy the deeper you get into it. It is like a primeval forest that has so many mysteries, so many secrets within it. That's also the tantalizing or kind of a carrot on a stick for the players and for the adventurers, and to go into and explore those ancient ruins, look for mythical treasures, ancient magic, and maybe even find cures for this deadly corruption that spreads throughout everybody that comes into contact with this world. And I'm going to get into that as we go on. I know I'm spouting out a lot of stuff here, but let's go into this a little bit more. So this is the 5e, that's the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition version of Symbaroum. Now, Free League Publishing has made a deal with Wizards of the Coast, I'm assuming. I haven't had a chance to read any other press releases that say otherwise, that they are going to be using the game license, the open game license, to create their conversion of it. And the reason that they're doing this is to reach another audience. And right now, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is so readily available, so widely played, so many thousands upon thousands of people play it. It is so popular. It only makes sense to take a very popular, it's hard to say fun about a dark, terrifying game, but a very fun campaign setting, and bring it over to the most popular rule set. So they've done that, or they are doing it, and that's why we're going to be looking at this Kickstarter that just launched today, just over 9 hours ago, 9 hours and about 21 minutes. Their goal was, I believe, around $23,000 US. Whereas of right now, they are at $105,605 in 9 hours and now 22 minutes. They wanted $23,278 US. I would say this was a successful Kickstarter. It's 22 days to go. That's 22 days that you have an opportunity to back this product. So let's take a look at this instead of me just kind of all over the place describing this. So what you're going to get, depending on your pledge level: Player's Guide, a Game Master's Guide, and the Bestiary. Now, since this is using the 5e rule system, it does require you to have the core Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition books. Now, normally, people would assume that you need the Player's Handbook, that you need the Dungeons Master's Guide, and you need the Monster Manual. My personal experience with this right now, the preview copy that I have, my experience with other 5e books like this from independent or alternate publishers besides Wizards of the Coast, is that you only need the Player's Handbook, because that tells you how to play the game. That has all the rule mechanics. The Dungeon Master's Guide's got some extra background stuff, a lot of other optional rules, but from what I'm seeing right now, those are going to be covered in the Game Master's Guide. And you most certainly do not want to use the Monster Manual or any other creatures or any other races or classes from any other source book but what you have here. Anything else that you import in will very likely disrupt and break the immersion that Symbaroum is going to create for you. So let's go through this really quick. Well, quick-ish. So essentially what has happened is that the Ambrians, which is a culture to the south of this mountain range called the Titans, fought a horrible, horrible war. And even though they won, they really ended up losing. The cost was too high, and they had to flee their ancestral lands to go north over this massive mountain range called the Titans. And when they got there, they found other humans and other species or other sentient races, and this massive, dark, vast forest called Davicar, and the remnants of the Empire of Symbaroum. And a lot of conflicts happened, but eventually things settled down, and now humanity and these other races are united together in building a new promised land. And this is only one area that we're focusing on. There's a wider world we don't even know about that folks over at Free League Publishing hasn't even really gone on and talked about. Much like Game of Thrones, there's parts of the world that we don't know what else is going on out there. We have idea, but we don't have full knowledge. So in this game, the Davicar Forest is the main set piece that you are going to be interacting with as a game master and as player characters. And it is in itself almost its own non-player character. It's its own monster. You got its own vibe and feel for it. It's almost like another person is playing alongside of you. It is a living, breathing, deadly, unbiased forest. And it is massive. I believe about 1,500 kilometers by about 700 or 800 kilometers. I'll let you guys that are math whizzes go ahead and figure out the actual square kilometers or square mileage that is. It is massive, and I think we're going to see a map here very shortly as I scroll through this. And one of the, besides all the different little mini adventures that you can have that are already pre-published, or the campaign books that they're going to be publishing for this, which is right now, I believe they're on their 5th campaign book, and they're all interconnected. They're going to be working on their 6th one that will also explore the Southlands where the Ambrians come from. So we're finally going to see what that's like, and maybe get a little bit more background of what the Ambrians are like, or what they used to be like. So you're going to have all this stuff to get involved in, plus all the material that it's already out there that has been published by people like myself, freelance creators that have created adventures and put them up on DriveThruRPG. So let me go through this a little bit more. Let's talk about the player's handbook. Now, this is going to be the really essential guide. I would say these 3 books that we're going to be covering over today, you really do need to get them if you're going to dive in. Now, my suggestion is if your group loves the idea of this, everybody pitch in a couple dollars to maybe offset a little bit of what whoever the game master is going to be. That way you guys can maybe rotate it out, borrow the books, kind of offset the cost. But I can tell you this right now, you are not going to pay nearly as much as you would for Dungeons & Dragons book. To have just one set of each of the books from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you're paying about $150 or more. And then all those other books, you're paying $50. Not here. And we're going to get into that. So let's talk about the player's guide, because that's what's going to get a lot of people's attention. So there's going to be some new rules, and this one rule that I'm going to barely cover, but it's very important that I do, is corruption. The threat of corruption is ever present. It's, as they say there, ever present. It is everywhere, especially if you're using magic, whether it's a magic item, magic weapon, magic armor, or you're a spellcaster. Using magic is the fastest way to get corruption. There's temporary corruption and permanent corruption. And it can be cool to get some corruption. Believe it or not, you can get some stigma that, like, maybe your eyes glow dark, or maybe like flowers and vegetation around you start to wither and wilt, or maybe children just start screaming and crying whenever you walk by them. It's kind of some cool role-playing elements. Nothing that's really going to affect the game world, but it's kind of cool stuff. it's cool until your corruption gets so high that your character is no longer under your control and becomes what they call a non-player character. And now the game master hands you a new character sheet and has you make a new character. That's one of the deadly aspects, besides the creatures and the people and the environment that you have to deal with. And you can control some things, but you can't control where corruption comes from. It is everywhere. It is one of the probably the biggest opponent that you will be facing. So we got these things called origins. So in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and many games like Starfinder and Pathfinder, they have races, or some people call them ancestries, which I don't think that really is the right terminology that they should be using. Ancestry doesn't fit. Races does fit, but now popular terminology with races is now a or man-made construct or a social construct for that's really talking about ethnicities or ancestry. So you really probably should be aiming for species, because there's species of because humans and elves and dwarves, they're not the same ancestry. They're different species of beings, just like cats and dogs and lions, tigers, and bears. Here they're called origins, and in some cases there is a connection. So origins does fit. There is a connection, believe it or not, between the goblins that you can play, the ogres, and the trolls. There is a shared origin. It's very frightening and very cool to explore. But I'm going to tell you, after I read these off, about some revelations about these origins. So we have the Changeling. These are very familiar or similar to how our own popular culture, we talk about how elves would go in and swap out babies. So they put one of their own children and take a child from a human parent. And the reason that they do that is explained for this setting. And the changelings are those elven children that grow up looking human, but eventually kind of become a little bit a cross between human and elf. And they've got some advantages that set them apart, and they are also got some kind of not side effects, but hindrances. We have the dwarves, the elves, goblins, humans. So really two different types of humans. We have the Ambrians, which are, if I understand some of the culture, very similar to the UK. And then we have the barbarians, which are like the Nordic barbarians, the Visigoths, also any of that sort of. If you think about barbarians or Norsemen, that's a good fit, but it's not inclusive. There's also one of them that has a almost Native American feel to it. There is a blending of cultures there, so you can't really say, oh, these are the English, these are the Norse. It's not. There's a blending of different cultures mixed in. Because even the Ambrians have a dash, I feel, of a little bit of Italy, or maybe Roman Empire, Holy Roman Empire feeling. Anyways, we also have the ogres, the trolls, and the undead. Now, the undead is a stretch goal. We might have reached that stretch goal. I don't know yet. Now, each of these races, as I was going to say earlier, flip the script. Or don't even use your typical, oh, he's an elf. So what is he, a dark elf? Is he a moon elf or sun elf? Nah, forget about all that, sugar. The elves are really the bad guys. They hate humanity. They protect Davicar. But you can play them. I mean, I shouldn't say hate, but they really don't like humanity. Dwarves are nothing like you think of. Goblins, certainly. Trolls and ogres. It is basically, forget about what you know about these different races from other fantasy games, especially Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and brace yourself for their awesome background stories. So we got new classes. There's going to be, now brace yourself, you won't be using the classes or the races or the magic or anything else that you find in the Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook. You're going to be using these new classes: the captain, the hunter, the mystic, the scoundrel, and the warrior. Each of them are going to have 4 between 4 and 7 different approaches. Now, these are like your subclasses. So if you are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, once you get up to 3rd level, you can create or choose a very specific, what do you call them, archetype or subclass. Maybe you want to be a druid of the moon circle, or maybe you want to be a particular type of warlock. I believe a hexblade is one of them. Well, forget about all those because you're going to be using these subclasses and these classes. Now, each of these classes and subclasses are ported over from the current game of Symbaroum. And where those are just archetypes that kind of give you some background flavor and also some guidance that don't give you anything for in-game use, because you're open to creating your own character however you want. Many different options in the regular version. To this new one, Ruins of Symbaroum, where you now have a focused set of classes, and then starting at 1st level, when you make your class, you choose your approach or your subclass. So there's different ones, like you could take the warrior and become a knight, or the scoundrel and be an explorer. And as you level up your class, you're also leveling up your subclass, and you're getting abilities along the way, just like you would with your regular class. But this gives a lot of options right from the get-go. And it really captures the feel that the player characters will have from Symbaroum to the new 5e version. And right now, we even have a list there. I'm not going to read over through them all, but from the preview copy that I've got right now, from what I've seen, it is very, very tasty. It is pretty much matching up. Oh, we do have some unlocks. The Templar and the Wrathguard. Oh, the Wrathguard. Anyways, I'll leave a link also in the description. There is a free preview. It's about 100 pages long. It's a very robust preview on DriveThruRPG. I'll have that link and the link for this Kickstarter in the description below. But let's go on. The Game Master's Guide, I'm going to highly recommend that you get. Besides having the normal stuff for how to run the game, all the tools and everything you need for ability checks, combat, challenge ratings, talking about the shadow and corruption to the game mechanics, it also gives you the setting. And it's going to give you the 3 biggest settlements to get involved in, which is like Thistlehold. This, what I would say, is the town for adventurers. This is on the edge of Davicar. Then you have the capital, Yendaros. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Or Carvosti, the cliff or the kingdom of the barbarian high chieftain, and pretty much it's the sacred grounds for the barbarian tribes. Then everything you need to build and for you as the game master to build adventures, whatever you need, magic items, optional rules, everything that you need to run the game is there. Now, the Bestiary is going to be very robust. I can already tell just by looking at it. I've also have their the Bestiary for the regular version, and it is absolutely amazing. The art is mwah. So we have 27 original creatures that you'll have never heard of here. Then they've got over 60 creatures total. Plus, we have different types of adversaries, from the good guys to the bad guys, outcasts, peoples of Davicar, townsfolk, trolls, ogres. Oh my. So there is a lot of opponents besides the forest, besides the environment, besides the corruption that your players will be facing off against. Now, there is going to be a very snazzy collector's edition that I'm actually considering purchasing. It's very, very pretty looking, and I think I'm going to get it because I really like Symbaroum, and my player group that we're going to be streaming the original game on Twitch in the very near future. I think we're going to be getting this. I think we're going to get it. All right, so they also have a retailer version. I'm not going to get into that. Let's take a look at their stretch goals real quick as we can wrap this up. So right now they've got 6 of 8, guys. 6 of 8 stretch goals already unlocked. So setting an Ambria region map. Oh my God. We're going to get a region map of Ambria. No kidding. A Game Master screen. Very important. Adventure, the Mark of the Beast. It's going to be a PDF. There's going to be new warrior approaches. So the Wrathgar and Templar, Thistlehold, and Blackmoor map. Oh, the god dang. And Tomb of Undying Dreams. A very good adventure. Very good adventure. And we're still left off with another origin, the Abducted Human. Those are the humans that were swapped out with the Changeling. Very cool. And then the GM screen booklet. Not sure what that's going to be, but I imagine it's maybe like a quick guide with all the flavor text and all the pictures. So taking a look here, that looks good. That's the Warden of Davicar level that you're seeing there. You get all 3 books, the maps, GM screen. So as you can see, let me open up another map of Davicar. Let's see if we can find a map of Davicar that I can show off to you guys. Sorry about all the clicking. I should have thought about this ahead of time. So it's going to be a little difficult to see, but right where I have the cursor is where, over here, is where Thistlehold is. I think that's where Thistlehold is. So that little speck right below the magnifying glass, that is a small city. That's how big the forest is. And then there's all the territory around it. There's the mountain ranges, the Titans to the south, the Ravens to the east. It is a massive, massive world to get involved in. And this is just a tiny portion, guys. Tiny portion. So you're gonna that's already, the stretch goals are already unlocked. Let's get into real quick. I'm not sure what 398 SEK is. I believe that's probably 39. Nope. Yeah, that's probably about $39 for this cloth map. I might get that. That's kind of cool. I like those type of maps. I'm kind of a collector for that stuff. You're going to be able to buy the individual books. So if you want to tack on to whatever your pledge goal is, let's say you get one set of all the books, you can go ahead and toss in another player's handbook. Always helpful. Having 2 players handbook for a table of 4 people. Very good. Very good. So any of those books, they're actually opening up to where you can get any of their other products too while you're at it, which is really cool. And they do have a link for the free PDF. I'm going to go ahead and include that down below in the description. Reason why it's also very cool to get is because they have a bunch of sample characters in there and a sample adventure that you can run through. So if you want to try it out, this is the time to try it out for free. What else we got here? The Promised Land is going to be a upcoming adventure book, it looks like. So guys, gals, sorry if you got motion sickness off of that. We're at $105,686 in 9 hours and 42 minutes. I think we made it. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if we get, my guess is we're probably going to get about 125,000 by the time this is done. Who knows, in 22 days. My recommendation, jump on this. Jump on it right now. This is going to be an absolutely bonkers crazy game to get involved in. For you new players, for you intermediate players, and you hardcore veterans that have played since first edition Dungeons and Dragons, have played in Greyhawk, the original setting for Forgotten Realms before it became what it is now. You've played Planescape, not RuneScape, but Dark Sun. You've delved into, oh goodness, I can't think of Spelljammer. All those different campaign settings. You've been playing first edition, second edition, third edition, 3.5, fourth edition that we don't talk about, and then fifth edition. You've never been challenged in a setting like you have here. I'm going to tell you right now, I've played through all those editions. I've played those different settings. This is the most challenging to run and to play in. And I challenge you as a player, as a game master, as a collector of just RPGs to read, to back this project. I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed. So down below in the description will be a link for this Kickstarter for the free RPG preview that they have. There's also, we are running a contest right now. So when you scroll down, if you have not done it already, hit the subscribe button. If you don't mind leaving a thumbs up or a thumbs down, really super appreciated. But that subscribe button doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me out. And leave a comment if you like. You're going to be automatically entered into a contest that I have going on right now. If we get up to 100 followers in 15 days now, there's another Kickstarter that I have backed, and I'm going to be giving away a set of free PDFs, full color PDFs for all 3 books for the Affinity source book. That's 4.5e. That video is down below. That's talking about the preview. Now, if I get 1,000 followers by the end of that Kickstarter, which is in 15 days, by the end of the month, then I'm going to also give away a set of the hardback books as well, which comes with PDFs. And I'll tell you what, if we get 100 followers in 15 days, I will go ahead and send out a PDF copy of this in your name. So I won't be getting a copy and then sending you a copy of a copy. No, I'm going to purchase this in your name, and you will get sent to your email. I won't get anything. That's how serious I am about these Kickstarters. Both the Affinity for Deus Ex Machina and Runes of Symbaroum for Free League Publishing. These are both fantastic, awesome, amazing settings for their own different feel. I'm definitely backing Runes of Symbaroum for myself. Like after this video, I am purchasing one of the different levels. I'm not sure which yet, but I'm going to be buying in on it because I love this setting. It is so dark and creepy. And head over to the Facebook page. That link is down below, because in the very near future on Twitch and on Facebook, we'll probably be streaming through Twitch to Facebook. We're going to be running the regular version of Symbaroum as a weekly or a bi-week or bi-monthly, twice a month, however you word it, on Twitch. So I've got a gaming group. We're going to be running this, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So please join us on that. But make sure you hit that subscribe button before you click off. You guys have yourself a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. And if you have any comments, please leave them below. Just reach out to me. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. I can't reveal too much information from the preview version I've got of this or the Affinity source books, but I'll try to do what I can for you. You guys have a wonderful evening. Talk to you later.